and the CNN app.
We're continuing to monitor President Trump's remarks to Republicans over at the Kennedy Center here in Washington. We'll go back there once he gets to some substantive issues. But for the most part, Jeff Zeleny, and you're our chief national affairs correspondent, he's been going back and forth, really criticizing the Democrats, praising the Republicans. The Democrats, he said, are violent, vicious people. You get the point of what he's trying to do here.
We get the point. I mean, the bottom line, what he's trying to do is keep Republicans in control of the House majority. That's why he is at the Kennedy Center. And this is the beginning of a very critical year for President Trump, because if Republicans lose their House majority, he knows how the final 2 years of his term will be. Democrats will be in charge, investigations, oversight. And there is a significant development in that majority that the president addressed early on in his speech, praising the life and noting the passing of a member of Congress, Republican, from California, Doug LaMalfa, who died suddenly at age 65. This was not expected. Of course, we send our thoughts to his family and friends. But what it means politically speaking as well is now Speaker Johnson can only lose 2 seats. The majority is so small. Of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned last evening. There'll be a special election in New Jersey coming up to fill a seat for Mikey Sherrill. If Democrats win that seat, the majority will be down to 1. So literally, the majority of this House of Representatives is hanging in the balance. But President Trump is there clearly trying to sort of keep spirits high for House Republicans as they try to keep their majority. But he did talk about Venezuela. Of course, that is the most important thing. He mentioned this about the readiness for the attack.
People are saying it goes down with one of the most incredible. It was so complex. 152 airplanes, many. Talk about boots on the ground. We had a lot of boots on the ground. But it was amazing. And think of it, nobody was killed. And on the other side, a lot of people were killed. Unfortunately, I say that, soldiers. Cubans, mostly Cubans, but many killed. And they knew we were coming, and they were protected, and our guys weren't. You know, our guys are jumping out of helicopters, and they're not protected, and they were. But it was so brilliant.
Now, President Trump there talking about the operational detail, and it truly was an extraordinary operation. He described it on Saturday as watching a television show as he was watching this from Mar-a-Lago. But what I'm struck by, here we are several days on, he still has yet to give a rationale to the country, to American citizens, what the rationale for this attack was. He's talking about the specifics of the operation, which was indeed, it's impressive, but a lot of House Republicans in that room wonder what he really thinks about the U.S. is going to run Venezuela. So if they're able to ask some questions behind closed doors there, we'll see if that comes up. But he is still talking a lot about Venezuela, but not specifically about really making the case for why this was necessary.
Right, and that's notable, too. That was the first thing he said about Venezuela. He's there in front of House Republicans talking about the midterms messaging, and there's a big question about what that messaging should be, because MAGA and, you know, the messaging has always been about America first and getting out of foreign entanglements. And now you have this Venezuela situation. So House Republicans, no doubt, are looking to hear more from the Republicans there in that room. And I want to bring back our panel to extend on that discussion. Retired General Wesley Clark, we just heard from the president, as Jeff pointed out, on Venezuela. And the first thing he mentioned was the extraordinary military operation, which is no doubt extraordinary, but no specifics yet on him running the country, as he has said. What did you make of that?
Well, first of all, of course, it was an extraordinary military operation. It's probably the most complex operation like this that's ever been done by the U.S. Armed Forces, and it came off. And so, the huge credit to the men and women. And let's be clear, this wasn't just about planning. This is the culmination of decades of experience of working counterterrorism, picking up indicted war criminals, the work in the Balkans, Bosnia, also in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, what comes next has always been the question. But here's what's very interesting. You know, we're seeing from Ms. Machado and people saying, let's get democratic elections in there. But the lesson from Iraq was you've got to have a